Hi again, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. Actually, it's the first of two we are going to do this week. So you want to know what's going on inside the Furman Athletic Department? By golly, you're going to find out. We're going to start it off this week by talking women's golf with Jeff Hull. It is good to see you again, my friend. How are you?
Good. Good to see you, too.
How are things going on the links?
You know, it's a great place to be. There's far worse places you could hang out, I can guarantee you that.
You know, people tell me the same thing about where I sit. The radio booth here at Paladin Stadium is my office, and to have this view every day staring out over the football stadium to Paris Mountain, I get a lot of people who want to come spend some time here, and yet Jason Donnelly won't let me charge admission. So.
You know, I bring recruits every time we got recruits in town. We'll bring them up to the president's level, and just it's a great view. I mean, it really is a really neat place to watch football.
It is. It's a great place to play golf if you are a Furman student athlete, or if you're just somebody who enjoys golfing. The golf course here is wonderful. You're in your 9th season here at Furman. Does it seem like it's been 9 years?
Well, it's actually my 13th. It's my 9th as a head coach.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've been here a long time. No, it's I can't believe it. I mean, you know, it's funny because I've got an ID from the very first day of work. And, there was no gray. You know, I had a brown goatee and brown hair, and there wasn't one bit of gray. And, now I'm getting to be kind of looking like you a little bit coming up,
Oh, I like that. Yeah, nice. This is what happens, and you know this because you coach a women's team, but I can say this because I raised 2 daughters. I went gray in my 30s. So
yeah, well, the joke was, for a long time that, when I got here and it was brown, and then I started popping some grays, and of course back in that time that was, the kind of the Taylor Totland era, and she always liked to give the needle, and they would give me a hard time. They'd say, well, gosh, you're turning gray. And I'd say, well, you know what that is? And they go, no. I said, every gray hair is every 3-putt I've seen.
Oh, nice.
And then I ran out of room, so I had to go full beard. So,
yeah, I understand. Wow, 13th season overall, so you and I have been here almost the same amount of time. I'm in my now 14th year as the voice of the Paladins, so we've been here basically the same time period. We've seen a few changes around here, haven't we?
Yeah, and it's not just it's just the entire athletic landscape is and especially it's what's going on now is just it's crazy.
We usually couch that conversation around big time football and basketball. How has name, image, likeness, conference expansion, all of those things, how has it affected women's golf in general, and what kind of trickle-down effect have you seen?
I think in general, we're not quite, to where football or basketball is, but it's coming very quickly. The conference realignment really hasn't affected women's golf because we don't play conference schedules.
Right.
We play one conference championship at the end of the year, so that really hasn't made a big difference. NIL is there for, a few players, but I think it's definitely now from the friends that I have that are in, the Power 5, the big schools, they're fundraising for basically NIL, so they're, that is a thing. And it's just, it's unfortunate, to be honest with you, because I'm kind of a purist, and I see it for the bigger sports, but, for the other sports, I just feel like, you get a terrific education. You get so many great opportunities, and it's just I understand it for the big sports, but for everybody else, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's disheartening for me to see what has happened to the overarching landscape of college athletics. It's one of the reasons why, as it's turned out, I'm glad that I've decided to stay here at this level. Because, it's going to affect what we do occasionally, at least so far. But we still get to see, I think, college athletics the way it was meant to be, to really affect the lives of individuals. Yes, making them better on the field or on the golf course, but making them better people getting them the education and letting them go on and have a great advantage in their work life.
Yeah, and I think that's, I do feel like, as things go forward and this takes off, nobody knows, what's going to happen in the future. I mean, with everything, but obviously, if you've got people that are paying into NIL, money, and they're not going to be given to the universities, they're going to be given to the players, and so now the schools won't have the funds that they need, and so you're going to unfortunately have a lot of programs that are going to disappear at the bigger schools, whereas they would live off of the money brought in by football and basketball. They're going to be required to, kind of do what we do. We've got to, do things a little differently than some of the bigger schools. And I think that's, I don't want to say it's an advantage for us, but I think going forward, it's something that we'll just be used to.
Yeah, it's not going to catch you by surprise.
No.
Well, I know we hadn't planned on talking about that, but I do like to at least delve into it a little bit with all of our coaches to see not just opinions, but possible effects beyond football and basketball. So I appreciate you going down that road with me for a minute. Let's talk about this golf team now. You talk about gray hair. Coaching a young team will do that to you, won't it?
You know what? It's really excited about this year. We lost, two great seniors last year in Anna Morgan and Caroline Crumrine, and they were great for different reasons. They were great leaders, but Anna was obviously one of the top players, in Furman women's golf history, and so, you go from a Natalie Srinivasan to a Anna Morgan. All right. So kind of looking, for that next one.
Who's next, right.
And I feel like, we've got, some players on the team that could fill that role. And so because we are so young, we kind of get to look at things maybe, Mackenzie and I talked about this, and I said, we can kind of come into this year like new coaches, like we were just hired, because we've got new kids, and even the kids that I've got, I haven't known very long, so Elise is my senior, and she transferred from Illinois last year, so she's only been here 2 years, so I've only really known her for 2 years, and Liza, is a junior, so I've really only known her for a little over 3 years, and then Kelsey and Audrey, I've only known them for a couple years, and now with the freshmen, Andrea and Eva, I had never met them until they walked on campus. We just talked and Zoomed, and one great thing about COVID was we now have this wonderful technology that we can do some international recruiting that we don't have to leave for. And then Jenna, our other freshman, is probably the one that I've probably known of all the freshmen the longest, because I recruited her, once I could. So I think for me, it's very exciting, because again, I feel like it's a, we kind of turned a page and we're starting something new, and I feel like we've got some great young talent, we've got some great commits, for the 15 class, and got a good handle on some 16. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
So, do you feel like it's a bit of a roll of the dice when you recruit somebody internationally and you have to do it all via technology and you never really meet them for the first time? I mean, I know you're all about doing your due diligence and doing your homework, but there still has to be a bit of an unknown in a situation like that.
Yeah, and again, I think it's like any kind of recruiting. I don't think you actually really get to know that kid until they get on campus anyways. Because let's face it, we're trying to sell ourselves, they're trying to sell themselves, and we usually don't talk about the bad stuff, and I don't think the recruits do either. Right. So I think just the good thing about golf, it's so different than other sports in that you got to score. There's a score that's written down, and you didn't have any teammates or anybody else, so that's what that score is. And now with technology, with the video technology and TrackMan technology and all these other things, we can see some very strong metrics. And so it's really not that hard, to make a decision. You get to know them, you talk to them, you talk to their families, you talk to other players that might know them, and you got to make that decision. But because she's a very talented, Eva's a very talented player. That was I feel it was a pretty strong get for us, and it was kind of it wasn't a last minute thing, but it was later in the recruiting process for sure. So that was good.
Visiting with Jeff Hull on Inside Furman Athletics, talking about women's golf. You and I are around the same age. I always tell people I consider myself to be the bridge generation. What I mean by that is I can remember 3 channels on television. I can remember the first video game, Pong, and now here we are with all of this marvelous technology, and I find myself somewhere in between. I like some of the technology, some things I like more the old school stuff. Have you learned to embrace all of this new technology? You talked about TrackMan, the swing stuff and everything. Have you learned to embrace all of that?
Well, you have to. I mean, for us, again, I'm still, at my core, I'm still a teacher. I still teach golf, and so, knowing that technology and using that technology is great. I personally feel like a lot of it has been overused. And people become reliant on it instead of, back in the day, like you said, we would just, as Ben Hogan used to say, we just dug it out of the dirt. We would figure it out. And I feel like that's a lot of that is lost, on today's players. So we try to kind of throw back a little bit and get them to, see the golf ball as your computer. What is it doing, and how can we make that do something different? And I think that's, it's like anything else. I think, using the new technology and kind of, what you've learned through the many years of being around, it's a good blend, and so, I'm like you. I mean, I cannot use a digital planner. I have to have it. I got to write it down. I need that paper. I kind of like that, so.
Yeah, well, people can't see it. I've got a huge calendar on my wall here that sometimes I use and sometimes I don't. That's erasable and all of that good stuff. So, yeah, I bridge generation is what I call myself because I'm old enough to remember all that other stuff.
Well, you don't have girls every day. They wouldn't call me the bridge generation. They'd call me the covered bridge because it's
Jeff Hall Comedy Hour here on Inside Furman Athletics. I'll have to remember that one. That's good. Your number one, you talked about how young you are. Your number one right now is a sophomore, Audrey Yu, and she made the NCAAs as an individual last season as a freshman. That's pretty strong.
Yeah, and I don't think she even realized what a big deal that was.
Yeah.
Golfers just come in and they play and they expect to kind of, do well. And so, we got the announcement on the Golf Channel and I think she was like, oh, okay, kind of cool, and we kept saying, no, this is big. Like, you don't understand, like what you've done as a freshman, and Anna was great because, her and Anna were at regionals together and we were all together. And Anna was wonderful because she would tell her, like, you've done some stuff as a freshman I didn't do. Like,
Right.
you have that opportunity to do some things in golf. So I think once she got there and we played and she's like, wow, and then that kind of really motivated her and she worked really hard through the summer. And since she's been back again, working really hard. And she's got just unlimited potential. But again, what's so cool about Furman is, here's a kid who's incredibly talented at golf, is a concert pianist, concert cellist, 4.0 chemistry major. I mean, she's good at everything she does. So you almost have to kind of get her focus kind of tightened up because if you're so good at so many things, you want to do them all.
Right.
And so I think that's the beauty of Furman, though, is you get those opportunities. She can go and play piano. She can do these things, and that's the great opportunity, that we have, is to have a very talented person like her who's also a good player.
And it just goes to show you the difference, the kind of student athletes we bring at Furman, whereas I'm sitting up here trying to remember to do down, distance, and score, that kind of thing, running my mouth for a living. But that's fantastic. On some level, is it a good thing that she doesn't seem to be overly impressed with herself, or maybe she didn't understand initially what kind of an achievement that was? Because she just expects to go out and...
Yeah, I think, I always like, the players who maybe just don't expect it, I think, like Anna, it took Anna a really long time to realize that, wow, I'm really good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's always good to kind of have that mentality of just keep wanting to, get better. And I think, that's where she is right now is, she sees that there is just enormous potential there.
And Ava Ringwald, one of the freshmen you talked about in your starting lineup, how unusual has it been in now your 9th year as head coach to have a freshman in your starting lineup?
Well, when I got here and when we were building the program, and we kind of always wanted that. We always
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have a freshman come in to replace, and we always wanted to, kind of keep that going. And I feel like we did that. Obviously COVID came, that kind of messed some things up. Transfer portal comes, that kind of alters things a little bit. I'm expecting all my freshmen to contribute this
Mm-hmm.
year. I mean, I think Jenna, especially from Texas. I mean, she's really good, and she hasn't quite played like she wants, since she's been here, but very coachable, and I expect to see her, in the lineup very soon. So, again, that's a great thing about golf. You don't have to be an upperclassman to be good. You can walk right in and kind of take over, and so that's what we're always hoping that the freshmen do.
So you've been able to get on the course in competition play once already, back on the 9th and 10th of this month at the Cougar Classic in Charleston. We're going to talk about what's coming up here at Furman this weekend in a moment. But how you feel like you did in that first fall outing?
I felt it was really good. Not only that, but before that, we had qualifying the weekend before Labor Day weekend. I remember the first round, and this is part of the young team, is everybody was just really amped up and anxious. They were really, nobody likes qualifying. It doesn't matter what school you're at. So our first round of qualifying was terrible. And I was like, oh no. And then they kind of settled in, and the next 2 rounds, we were 15 under par if you count our best, top scores. So that was phenomenal. And so when we got to the tournament, I felt like that first day we had 36 holes, and everybody was solid. They were very steady, and we were really in the mix. I mean, we weren't going to win, but we could have very easily be, top 5 in the tournament. And the next day, we still played pretty well. We just, as they say, drive for show and putt for dough. So we didn't make much dough. We the putting kind of was a little cold. That week.
A few more gray hairs.
Yeah, yes, a few more popped out. So I think it was a great start. The finish wasn't exactly where we wanted to be, but again, if you look at the metrics that we look at, we were so close. We could have easily finished third, but we didn't. So we just got to learn from that and come into this week and see if we can rebuild.
So do you use you've got basically 4 tournaments in the fall. Do you use the fall just as a chance to ramp up to get ready to go when February gets here, or how do you approach these 4 tournaments?
I mean, fall is just as important as spring for golf because you get ranked based on every event. So the fall is very important, and I think fall is good because every player is coming in peaking because they played all summer.
Right.
I mean, they play their own summer schedules, so it's not like you have to come in and get like the other team sports. They have to get everybody together and kind of learn plays and all that, and we're just playing golf. So yeah, this is it's very, very important fall.
So let's talk about this weekend as we get into wrap-up mode. Then the 50th annual Lady Paladin Invitational. How many teams will be here?
We're going to have 13 teams, but everybody, we changed it a few years ago. We just said, everybody, it's so hard to bring an individual to a tournament. It's hard to get individual spots in these tournaments. So we decided we were going to create a tournament that you bring your team, but you can also bring an individual. So we eliminated a couple teams so that every team could bring an individual, because it's important that you get those players the opportunity to kind of work their way back into a lineup if they need to. So that's what we're doing with this.
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday here at the Furman University Golf Course, all-day golf, all 3 days, right?
Yeah, and it's, the nice thing is, Friday and Saturday we have a 10 o'clock shotgun start. So, again, we did that just to kind of make it a little easier on all the teams and all the people that help us. So, Friday we're going to start on 1, 2, 3, 4, and then hopefully every day we start on 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's where the leaders are. And then we'll finish up on Sunday. We do a 9 o'clock shotgun. So, about 1:30, 2 o'clock. Everybody will be kind of finishing up. But yeah, it's it's always a great week for us. We get our families in town. We have a really nice family dinner with all of our players and some other people. So yeah, it's a great week for us.
So, from a coaching standpoint, sometimes we talk football, for instance, biggest improvement, game 1 to game 2. 1 to 2, the Cougar Classic, to hear what's the improvement level you're hoping to see?
Like I said, it's really just we talk about the mental side of the game so much, and it's just keeping a what we would call a champion's mindset. No matter what happens, just keep fighting. Keep going. Working on the things you're working on, and I think the hardest thing in a home tournament, especially, is expectations. You got a lot of players who they expect to do well. They expect to have all these things happen, and as we say, like you can't control the outcome. You can only control what you're doing. So we would just love to see them just stick to the game plan that we've put together on how to play the golf course, execute the best they can, and really, because everybody's here, their family, their friends, we really just, honest to God, it sounds funny, but we just really want them to have a good time this week. It's very rare that you get to play a tournament at your home golf course. So it should just be a time that, yes, you do want to do well, but let's just go out and really enjoy the week.
Maybe hit a few more putts?
Putting would be good. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time on that, and we'll continue to spend some time on that. Might have to get some Grecian formula on my beard, this week, and see if I can start over. So
hey, you know what? If they start hitting them, I think that'd be a good
maybe
thing
goes
to
away.
do.
Yeah, maybe that'd be great. Yeah.
So that is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 20th through the 22nd, at the Furman Golf Course. 10 o'clock starts on Friday and Saturday, 9 a.m. start on Sunday, the 50th Lady Paladin Invitational. And then the other 2 fall tournaments very quickly. The EV Odom Invitational at Virginia Beach, October 4th, 5th, and 6th. And then October 25th, 6th, and 7th, you're at Wilmington, North Carolina, the Landfall Tradition. And then, before you know it, February will be here.
Mm-hmm. It comes quick.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, I've enjoyed this. Always enjoyed talking to you and getting to find out more about your golf program. And let's go out and have a good time this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to hang out. I haven't been there in a while, so.
All right, let's wrap it up. We look forward to having. Actually, I said we're having 2 this week. We have a bonus episode with Michelle Young. Be talking some volleyball that will also be released this week as well. So that'll be coming up, but our opportunity to talk some golf with Jeff Hull, always look forward to that and hope that you enjoyed it as well. Thank you for tuning in to Inside Furman Athletics. Until next time, I'm Dan Scott. God bless you, and so long, everybody.